Hey everyone, Ivan here. Today we're cutting through the hype to focus on what's actually worth learning in 2025's tech landscape. Look, I've been back in development for years. I have seen countless big things come and go. Some live up to the hype, but many don't. So this isn't about chasing every shiny new framework. It's about building a solid foundation that will serve you well for years to come. I'm going to share what I'm seeing in the industry, what I'm personally using, and what's providing real value rather than just generating buzz. Let's start with backend technologies that have been proven to stay power but are still evolving in important ways. First, server technologies. Serverless isn't going away. AWS Lambda, that I personally use, to Azure Functions, and Google Cloud Functions that I use it to, continue to measure with better call start times and more flexible pricing models. If you're not familiar with serverless yet, it's definitely worth investing time to learn in 2025. In the containerization with Docker and Kubernetes remains essential, especially with the rise of hybrid deployments models. What's changed is that these technologies have become more accessible. You don't need to be a DevOps specialist to use them effectively anymore. One of the fastest growing areas is edge computing, running closer to users for better performance. Look at the Cloudflare Workers, Versal Edge functions on Netlify Edge. This lets you deploy functions globally with almost no configuration. And our beloved Visual Studio Code. This is for your languages like JavaScript and TypeScript to continue to dominate. But for all the languages, you can use Python and many others, hundreds of languages here. TypeScript adoption has reached critical mass. About 85% of Node that JS developers now use it for production, as myself included. The tight safety it provides is invaluable for large code bases. Python is still dominant for data science, but we're seeing major performance improvements with Python 3.12 plus and the upcoming 3.13. Asynchronous capabilities have matured to the point where Python is viable for high-performance web services. Rust is finally reaching mainstream adoption beyond system programming. It's now being used for web services that need extreme performance. The learning curve is steep, but the safety guarantees and performance are worth for certain applications. Go continues to be the perfect middle ground between performance and developer productivity. It's simple, efficient, and scaled extremely well for backend services. For databases, PostgreSQL remains the most versatile general-purpose database with continuous improvement to its JSON capabilities. If you need a relational database, Postgres should be your default choice. Also, we have the most beloved tool that I'll also use. The previous one I usually most of the time too. MongoDB has measured beyond its early problems and is now enterprise ready with better transaction support. The document model is perfect for application with flexible schema requirements. Now we have other kinds of databases. There is a vector database like Pinecone, and mailbooks are becoming essential for applications with semantic search. These used to be niche technologies just for AI companies, but they now mainstream for any app that needs to understand meaning and similarities. While I am primarily a backend developer, I need to understand what's happening on the front end too. React is still dominant, but the focus has shifted to server components and more efficient rendering patterns. If you are already using React, these newer patterns are definitely worth learning. Svelte is growing faster than any other framework due to its simplicity and performance, and it requires less code than React for the same functionality, which means faster development and better maintainability. Now we have the other one that is Solid for application needing extreme performance. Solid.js deserves attention. It has a React-like syntax, but with much better runtime performance. And the last one, but not least, for CSS, the well-known Tailwind has officially crossed into mainstream with design system built around it. It's much more than a trend now. It's becoming the default approach for many teams. And the last one, that is CSS in JS libraries like style components that are still important but evolving to solve runtime performance issues. If you're using these approaches, keep an eye on the newer zero runtime alternatives. AI integration is no longer optional, it's becoming a standard part of modern applications. Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG, is now standard for any app needing to work with both LLMs and private data. This pattern combines vector databases with language models to provide accurate, rounded responses based on your own information. Function calling capabilities are standardized ways to let AI models trigger actions in your application have also become essential for building AI-powered features. All the major platforms now support this in some form. Understanding how to create, store, query, vector embedding is becoming as fundamental as knowing SQL. This numerical representation of text, images, or other data are the foundation of modern AI integration. For AI frameworks, both LangChain and Llama Index have matured into production-ready tools. They provide abstraction that make it easier to build complex AI workflows. Many companies are now building directly against OpenAI, Anthropic, or APIs instead of using higher-level frameworks. As these APIs have stabilized, direct integration has become simpler. Modern developers need to understand more about how their code runs. For infrastructure as code, Terraform remains the industry standard, but now with better abstractions. If you're deploying to any cloud platform, Terraform skills are essential. Polemy is growing for those who prefer using real programming languages, rather than just configuration languages like HCL. It lets you define an infrastructure using languages you already know. For its observability, OpenTelemetry has become the standard for instrumentation across logs, metrics, and traces. This open standard has finally unified the fragmented monitoring landscape. The Prometheus in Grafana stack remains the most common monitoring solution and is now easier to set up and manage thanks to better defaults and integration options. Let's talk about what I wouldn't recommend investing too much time in right now. Web3 and blockchain for general applications still haven't found meaningful mainstream use cases outside finance. Unless you're specifically in the financial sector, I'd still consider these speculative technologies. Microservices for everything is another trend that's seeing pushback. Many companies that went all in are now consolidating services after experiencing the operational complexity and performance challenges. Specialized AI frameworks are risky investment right now. Many will be obsolete as the major platforms standardize their approaches. Focus on understanding the fundamentals rather than niche frameworks. For dying technologies, jQuery is finally seeing significant decline in usage statistics. PHP, while still pondering much of the web, continues to see declining adoption for new projects. The most important skill in 2025 isn't any specific technology. It's knowing how to evaluate which technologies are worth learning. Ask yourself, does this solve a real problem I have? Does it have a growing active community? Is it backed by companies or organizations that will sustain it? Is it building on proven principles rather than reinventing everything? That's what separates technologies with staying power from the ones that will fade. Thanks for watching, and if you found this helpful, make sure to like and consider subscribing for more honest tech content. Drop a comment letting me know what technology you're most excited about learning in 2025. This is Ivan, helping you work smarter, not harder. See you in the next one.